It's back. Woo! Odyssey's Oceanfront Concerts on the sands of Virginia Beach, April 26th through 28th, with performances by Juicy J and Elite Chopper, along with T Grizzly, Skilla Baby, 310 Baby, and Shorty Shorty. A full weekend of entertainment going down Oceanfront with DJs, food, and more. Odyssey's Oceanfront Concerts. Get your tickets now at OdysseyOceanfrontConcerts.com. That's AUDACY, OceanfrontConcerts.com.
Vahe Gregorian joins us from the Kansas City Star, sports columnist there. Hey, Vahe, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the Mellencamp. I will say that I saw him at the 1997 Final Four in Indianapolis. He performed an incredible show. One of the great concerts I've ever seen. And I will also regrettably say I saw him about 8 or 10 months ago, and it kind of made me sad. He just didn't quite have the same juice. Not the same.
Well, neither do I, Vahe, but I'm going to try to recreate some juice during this interview for you. So two big stories brewing in Kansas City at the moment, one involving Rashee Rice and that incident on the freeway in Dallas. He's now admitted to being the driver of one of the cars. We'll get to that in a moment, but the big vote in Jackson County earlier this week, which resoundingly was a no vote, which means that the Royals and Chiefs kind of got to go back to the drawing board and try to figure all this out. John Sherman's wife pointing out on her social media that she doesn't think that Jackson County will get another shot at this. Where is all this right now?
Well, I'm glad you asked. There is so much swirling. It's a little hard to discern between what's, kind of the emotion of the moment and the aftermath and all these things, what's logical, what might still present itself. I understand naturally that the Chiefs and Royals are both upset or distressed, whatever term you'd like to apply to it. To my thinking, what the rebuke that we can see in this vote says is that they need to look at themselves. They need to ask what went wrong here, especially considering enough people voted that you certainly can be sure that this wasn't just people who are not sports fans. I mean, that can't be something that they take away from this, because that's not what it was. I mean, this was 58% to 42%, I think almost 20,000 vote difference in the county where they've played for 50 years or 60 years. So to the point of Marnie Sherman, I understand why she'd be upset. I'm not sure I've processed everything that she has said, but maybe you've had this happen. I've had it happen where when something goes awry for someone you love, then it's easy to take it maybe even more personally than that person does. And I suspect that's part of her emotion. Maybe she's been authorized to make broader declarations. I don't know, but I think that's part of it. I will also say this, because it relates a little bit to her. I thought it was very unfortunate and really a little bit borderline disgusting the way people kind of went after John Sherman in this. You may disagree with the premise, you may disagree with the execution, but it ought to be understood that John Sherman has spent decades in Kansas City as a very powerful philanthropist and civic force, and in ways that people don't appreciate, because John Sherman didn't think that ought to be publicized. And I've known this for years, and we've tried to write about it a little bit more, and typically they haven't, he hasn't wanted to do that because he doesn't want to thump his chest. But I just find it probably reflective of the times, so polarizing that people found it necessary to take shots at him in ways that I thought were really a reflection on the people saying it, not on him.
Yeah, has this kind of turned into more than just a vote? with, like you said, people taking shots and this and that. I mean, I don't know because we're obviously not there, but I was really surprised at the amount of difference in the vote. Like you said, 58 to 42. And before the vote was happening, it kind of sounded like this was probably going to go through. Or am I out to lunch with that?
Well, I think my perception was it was going to be close, and I kind of thought it would prevail. It is very interesting to study how this parallels the ways of the modern political world, but it's also its own unique snapshot and subset, no matter what. My colleague and the amazingly lovely and talented Sam McDowell wrote a little bit about how the point here is that people will see this as kind of a broader referendum on, for instance, we don't want to pay taxes to contribute to the coffers of billionaires. But that trend may be emerging nationally, but this was its own distinct story. And there were 6, 7, 8 things you could choose from that were at play, and probably 7, 8, 10 others that really were not as evident but were factors. I mean, everything from the way Jackson County taxpayers might have felt about a big hike in property taxes over the last couple of years. People that just don't want to leave the K. People that didn't know, still don't know, how it was going to affect the crossroads, not just in the footprint of what was going to be built, but in sort of the seismic waves around it. What businesses that theoretically were going to be okay were going to be affected. That was in part because people felt it came out rushed, and it came out with that perception because it came to be rushed after the Royals had chosen 2 other finalists 7 months ago, and then only about 2 months ago announced that it would be in the crossroads. So there's all kinds of things like that. The thing that you guys may or may not be able to sense, but sort of became very apparent to me just from talking to neighbors, was that when they made the decision to kind of theme this to let's keep the Chiefs and Royals in Jackson County, instead of making the theme we're revitalizing Kansas City or whatever other useful theme they might have had, they really made a lot of people upset. I think the thinking was that that's going to be the kind of consequence to hold over people's heads that will make those who are on the fence say, yeah, I better just vote for this. I actually think it completely backfired. I know people who explicitly actually had decided to vote for it and then decided not to because they didn't like that. Now, those might be extreme examples, but I think that was a misjudgment of the audience. And I think that's what happens when you put this in the hands of political operatives who aren't from here.
Vahe Gregorian, our guest, Kansas City Star sports columnist. So, cutting to the chase, and I know this is pure speculation, and we'll get a clearer idea as days pass, but of these scenarios, what do you think is the most likely? They stay where they are. They go to Clay County, or they cross the state line into Wyandotte County. A lot of Kansans are certainly in favor of. What do you think?
Well, it's funny. A lot of Kansans probably are in favor of it, no doubt are in favor of it, just in sort of a generic sense. But I don't know how in favor of it they are if it means billions of dollars to do it, and
exactly.
A lot of boxes to be checked, and it's funny. Our colleague, he really works for the Eagle, but his name is Joel Mathis. He is a really good writer, editorial writer, and probably your audience would have had a chance to see what he wrote. I thought he made some really interesting points about what the actual benefit of this would or wouldn't be to Kansas, but also, I mean, in a way, it's a strange sort of infighting situation. I mean, we know the Chiefs belong to Kansas and Missouri. It happens to be in Missouri. But why is this worth the fight? That will be I'm sure a 7, 8 year, 10-year process to sort of divide the area further, right? I mean, Kansans, I think at this point are pretty okay with the fact that they can say the Chiefs are their team, and they just happen to be on the other side of the border. I mean, I get, look, that there's, financial incentive and points of pride in this, but I just don't think, I'm not sure how many people are thinking about that. Okay, you think it was a big ask to ask voters to extend a 3/8 cent sales tax for 40 years, a tax that they've already been paying. I mean, it's a new tax, but it's still the tax they've been paying. How about if you're asking people to vote in a tax they've never had before, and countless other ways that are beyond my understanding in terms of how the finances could work. So look, I think the Chiefs certainly want to make the point that they will entertain any and all options. They've always kind of kept the Kansas card clasped to their chest, sort of as just a looming thing out there. They may really mean it. I don't know. The Royals, the one thing that's a little bit different between the two is that the Royals have explicitly stated they're not playing in Kauffman Stadium no matter what after the lease expires. I think the lease expires in 2031. I can't remember if it's before or after that season, but 6-7 years from now. So the Royals have put themselves in a spot where, well, now they got to find a home. I suppose Kansas would be more interested in the Chiefs than the Royals just because of the stature right now. Could Kansas go after both? I don't know if that's viable. Maybe could be. Clay County, there was already a certain baseline established between the Royals and them, a certain rapport. But I think the understanding was that the funding wasn't going to work right there with what you're going to have to ask voters on the other side of the Missouri. So in a way, there's all kinds of options. In a way, there's all kinds of constraints. And I think it's a very, very interesting, 5, 6, 7, 8 months to come as we see whether they basically make a decision to reset and try to get it here, recognize their own mistakes, or they just decide, we're throwing it open for auction and let's see what happens. And it's probably to their benefit to have some mystery to it. So
in
it's going to be
we
a
got
while.
just a couple minutes. We got just a few minutes left, so I do want to get your thoughts on the Rashee Rice situation. I thought his attorney, not very good representation in terms of the statement coming out of that camp. What do you think the next move is for Rashee Rice and the Chiefs?
Well, I just don't know. I mean, let's remember that, first of all, there are still some things to play out, but here's what we do know. We now know with certainty he was driving that car, that it was certainly, I don't know what the legal term for it would be, but reckless endangerment, whatever you want to call it. And instead of recognizing how lucky they should be that they could even walk away, they doubled down on it by actually walking away. And that's the part of this that I think is, toughest to swallow. It's to see them leave the scene of this near catastrophe without so much as checking on anybody's condition. That's pretty tough. And so there's a lot left to be played out. And look, I get that from all we know, Rashee Rice has never been in trouble before. I get that there's more to him than this crash, and it's really unfortunate. But again, to quote Sam McDowell, I mean, at some point we have to admit that there's different levels of somebody making a mistake, and that this isn't just, a bad decision. This is something that could have killed a lot of people. And the only difference between it killing people and not is the fortune of the way these kind of bounces of the cars and the spin outs went. So I don't know. I mean, it's a sad thing. I assume there's at least an NFL suspension waiting in terms of the personal conduct policy. The Chiefs have been pretty mum on it. I don't know if they would take any extreme measures of their own. It's just hard to say.
All right, Vahe, we appreciate it. We wish we had happier things to talk about. The vote will sort itself out. I don't know what ends up happening to the Chiefs or the Royals, but I'm fairly confident they'll still be in the Kansas City area for the long term. So we'll see. Thank you for your time. Always a good time to talk with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and sorry for the little malfunction on my part. We'll talk to you guys again before long.
They happen.
Did you get a snack? That was what we were worried about.
No, it was at the closest gas station I could go to, the Costco. So I didn't even go inside. I just fired it up.
Well, get back in your car and drive forever now, Vahe. Thank you.
All right. Okay, guys. Thank you.
Everybody knows it. Toyota trucks are the stuff of legends. Rugged, durable, everlasting. Toyota makes trucks that just don't quit. And now Toyota is driving that legacy toward the future with two of their most powerful trucks ever, the new Tundra and the all-new Tacoma. In a half-ton Tundra, you can rule the roads. From the comfort of a spacious cabin with connected tech and plenty of hauling power, the Tundra is ready to work hard and play even harder. Or check out the all-new 24 Tacoma, redesigned and electrified to maximize your adventure. With a bevy of available off-road driving and power transfer modes, you will effortlessly crush the conditions. And with the Tacoma's reimagined interior, you'll do it in style. And right now, your local Toyota dealer has more vehicles in stock and is making delivery on new vehicles almost every day. So don't wait. Buy a Tundra or Tacoma today. Visit buyatoyota.com for deals and more. Toyota, let's go places.
It's back. Odyssey's Oceanfront Concerts on the sands of Virginia Beach, April 26th through 28th, with performances by Juicy J and Elite Chopper, along with T Grizzly, Skilla Baby, 310 Baby, and Shorty Shorty. A full weekend of entertainment going down Oceanfront with DJs, food, and more. Odyssey's Oceanfront Concerts. Get your tickets now at OdysseyOceanfrontConcerts.com. That's AUDACY, OceanfrontConcerts.com.